So I wanted to get involved. I said, well, let me help figure it out. So I got on the board of New York Women in Film and Television and realized that it just took networking and women needed to be part of an organization. So I wanted to support those organizations that supported women creatives. So I joined WIFTA. And fast forward, became part of WIFTA when I moved to Atlanta. Hi, I'm Robyn, president of WIFTA, Women in Film and Television Atlanta, and catch me on this week's episode of I Do Film with my girl, Cordelia Hunter.
For those who want to get their foot in the door in the world of TV and film, there's always that one aspect we want to learn more about, and that's networking. In this episode, we will talk more about the platforms, mediums, and tips of networking with groups of like-minded individuals. My next guest has been a part of an all-female exclusive organization geared toward the education and training of women in film and TV. I Do Film family, please welcome our next guest, Robyn Watson, president of Women in Film and Television Atlanta, also known as WIFTA. Hi, Robyn.
Hi.
Thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me. It's exciting to talk about women in film. Some of my favorite things, passionate about it. So I'm ready for you.
Yes, good. Well, I'm glad you're here. I know that this will be a great conversation. But before we start, let's find out who you really are with a little bit of this or that.
Uh-oh. Okay, let's go.
New York Yankees or Atlanta Braves?
New York Yankees.
Movies or TV?
TV, definitely.
Sneakers or heels?
Sneakers. Jordan's a life. I have a Jordan collection, 103 to be exact. So today you'll catch me in some sandals, but otherwise you will catch me in some Jordans.
Yeah, I figured sneakers.
Sneakers.
Communications or consulting?
Communications.
President or executive producer?
That's a tough one. President. I'm going to go with president.
Okay, boss. So Robyn, tell me, what inspired you to be in the film industry?
So I was inspired by listening to stories of creatives who were struggling with, getting in the room or finishing a project. And I had a corporate position and I couldn't understand with so little money that's needed, why projects couldn't get done. And then I was wondering if it was because it was women that were involved. So I wanted to get involved. I said, well, let me help figure it out. So I got on the board of New York Women in Film and Television and realized that it just took networking and women needed to be part of an organization. So I wanted to support those organizations that supported women creatives. So I joined WIFTA. And fast forward, became part of WIFTA when I moved to Atlanta.
So WIFTA, what is WIFTA?
So WIFTA we are Women in Film Atlanta. We are part of the Women in Film organizations. There are 46 plus chapters in the United States, plus international. There's also a US organization that kind of governs all the states. But we support women in this industry. Look, we women, we know we're great. We have to remind other people that we're great.
We are
that
great.
We can do anything we want to do. And so it's really about us finding ways to elevate our women, highlight the work that we're doing, get us in the room, make sure that we're in the room when decisions are being made, but really focusing on who we are as women and what we bring to the entertainment industry.
Right. So WIFTA, so the platforms that WIFTA have, are they different by chapters and are they standard by WIFTA, Women in Film Television?
So women in film overall, there's some standards that we all have to operate by. What was interesting to me is, so I come from New York, and so New York Women in Film and Television, I was on the board there. And when I came to Atlanta 6 years ago, I realized that the chapters operate very differently. So while there's so much production going on here in Atlanta, I felt like WIFTA didn't have the same power, or wasn't empowered as much as New York was. So I quickly was raising my hands hey, New York does it this way. Why can't it happen the same way in Atlanta? And so I, came in, started chipping away at some of the old ways things were done and wanted to kind of elevate WIFTA like the New York chapter. And so we've done a lot of things. And now let me tell you, WIFTA, we're here and we're doing great things. And we're starting to get recognized as the resource to be in entertainment here in Atlanta.
Yes, because Atlanta is so big with all productions and stuff. It
Absolutely.
only makes sense that we have a presence here. Some of the local platforms that WIFTA offer or that you guys support, like signature platforms or something, what are some of those?
So signature programs that we do like our short film showcase. We have a gala every year, which is our biggest fundraiser, but also it provides scholarships to up and coming women in the industry. Those have been standard for WIFTA for a long time, but now we're instituting other things that are, directors education. Just today, there's a acting class that's put on by one of our actors, Karen Cisse. Shout out to Karen for agreeing to kind of teach up and coming or women who want to be actors, like what's the best way to kind of get into the industry. So we look at it, our membership wholly, right? Like we look at who wants to be an actor, how do we support them? Who's a director? We look at makeup artists, costumers, we go across the board. And so we need to just highlight that and elevate our women a little bit more.
So we know WIFTA, Women in Film and Television, but what about the men? Do the men have any platform like this?
So we're WIFTA, but we don't mind having men members, and we actually do have a lot of members who support us. There's not a platform for them unless they come through us. So, and we support that. They're allies. They've helped us out in the industry. So we support them as well. And we'd love for them to have more male members because that helps us to grow as well.
Right. So the women are still at the
forefront
of it. I get it. So tell me, you worked WIFTA, New York, or WIFT, New York.
WIFT.
WIFT, New York WIFT. That's right. I believe international as well.
Yes, I was on the board of international as well.
Yeah. So tell me, how did your background prove for you to be the president of WIFTA right now?
So I like to say I'm an interloper in film and television because I come through the corporate side. I worked it was Time Warner at the time, and I was introduced to women in film when I worked there. I'm a communications person, so publicity, corporate communications, distribution. So I was working on like distribution deals and all. And someone from NYWIFT approached me and said, "Hey, we'd like you to join this Women in Film and Television organization." And my first foray was at a networking event, and I was just talking to creatives. I was talking to directors and producers and actors, and they talked to me a little bit about their struggles about kind of being noticed or getting projects done. And I was like, I work for a multi-billion-dollar corporation where, $5,000 to do something is not a big deal. $5,000 to finish a film is a big deal for an independent filmmaker. So that's how I got in. I was like, well, how can corporations support it? How can other women who are in corporate jobs support these filmmakers or these creatives? And so that's how I got into it.
Yeah, because I was going to ask you, how did the communication tie in with the TV and film?
Yeah, it didn't really, except for I had a corporate job, right? And so still, as the president of WIFTA, I still hold a corporate job. And I always look for ways to make sure the corporations recognize the women who are in the industry.
Oh, okay. So what is your favorite TV show or movie? Or both?
Or both. Okay, so my favorite TV show, I'm going to say ever, I don't know why, I can tell you why, is The Good Wife. And I think the storyline and how, just kind of she elevated herself just got me. So it's one of my favorite shows, and I appreciate the writing. And then I don't have a favorite movie. I think I watch movies with a different lens depending on where I am. Like 5 years ago, I watched it for entertainment. Now I watch for who's the producer, like, is there, who is the script supervisor? Like I watch it for as much for the credits as I watch for the film itself. So I watch every film.
That's the EP behind you.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's that EP.
Let's see. What's your first memory of a TV show that left a lasting impression on you?
Just growing up and seeing Black folks on TV. So, good times.
I say good times.
Good times. The Jeffersons, like just seeing Black families on TV. I always remember saying, well, yeah, because that's real life. Like, so why aren't there more of these stories on? So, and I love that I see more Black families, more Black, educated, elevated, Black women and men these days in film and in television. But yeah, that's my lasting memory. Good times.
Yes, absolutely. And what's the first TV show or movie you remember watching? Ooh.
So I don't know. Probably like Good Times. So my mom's a retired attorney, and she was big on like education. So she was like, the TV is not your friend. Go find a book. So I'd like sneak to watch certain things. So whenever I can watch a couple of, would never sit down and watch a half-hour show, right? I'd have to like sneak and watch like 10 minutes of a show. But really like the Good Times, and just anywhere I can see a Black family or a Black person, somebody who look like me. Representation is important. So seeing Black families of, Black folks on
Good
TV.
Times was one of my
first
ones, favorite ones as well. Speaking of Good Times, who was your favorite character?
Jimmy Walker.
Okay.
JJ, because he was the life of the party. And and I always feel like if you're that person, you gotta let your personality come out.
Yes. And he did, right?
And he did. So he did it well. So
Jimmy Walker, okay.
Jimmy Walker.
Yes. And you have a favorite line from JJ?
I don't want the cliche. I don't want to give the cliche line.
But usually that's it, right?
Yeah, but I'm gonna switch something up on you. I'm gonna say Mama Esther Roll's line, that I do remember one thing, that show was always comic relief for me. But I do remember when James Evans died, his character died, and she was like that damn. I remember being a kid and being like feeling that. And so now to fast forward, like now I can see like the acting was great, like everything was great. The scene setup was great. So that's something that I remember from the show.
Yeah. If you could change anything in the film and TV industry, what would it be?
How hard women have to fight just to be
Get the seat at the table.
Get the money for projects, get the respect that we deserve. If I can change anything, I would just shift things. Now, that's not to say things haven't changed over the years, but I almost feel like as many steps as we take forward, there's always one step back. And I just wish that didn't always have to happen.
Okay, so networking. Networking is a big deal across the board. I would say in any arena, but especially when it comes to the film and entertainment. So, what is the importance of networking?
So I used to think networking was important for corporate people to get jobs or to elevate in your role. It is so much more important as a creative to network, because it's really about who you know, who can help you finish a project, get you on a project, get you connected so your project goes smoothly. It's important. It's the most important thing. Besides having funding for a project, network is equally important, because you got to know somebody to help you get your project done. And whether it's knowing, somebody at the mayor's office to know how to just write street closures, whether it's knowing the right costume person to get your costumes done in time, whether it's knowing somebody from, a bank or an investor to get the project done. Networking is super important.
So, WIFTA, even though we have a lot of platforms for educational and we help, WIFTA is probably the number one networking. I'm not going to even say just here in Atlanta or Georgia, but really nationwide.
Right.
Yeah. So while networking is important, how important is the professionalism in this field?
It's super important, because while you're networking and looking for people to kind of help you, people want to work with people who are professional, who get things done, who, look, aren't doing things, that are backhanded, things that are on the up and up. So it's professionalism is super important, especially for us and women in film. Look, we as women, we have to show up differently, right? Than the
Absolutely.
men do. So we have to show up professionally. And we stand by that as part of an organization. We want professional members. I don't care what the situation is. Things do get ugly sometimes, right? Things do
Mhm.
get, but I always say we need to show up and always be professional. And I stand by that personally and as president of this organization.
Yeah, yes, president. So, networking, professionalism. What about our dress? When we're dressing, our dress code, showing up to events, networking.
Right.
How important is that?
So it's always great to, show up in a room where you kind of look like everybody and everybody's saying, but it's important for us to show up professionally. Like you're not going to the club, right? It's a professional because you never know if that $150,000 investor is in that
Yeah, that
room.
big break.
That big break might come in that room, just come into a member meeting or come into a networking session that we have. So, like anything else, we, come with your best professional as if you're going to have a conversation with somebody about financing a film or a project. So you
Absolutely.
got you got to be professional about it.
Absolutely. So, still on this WIFTA, um, can you share any success stories that have come out of WIFTA?
So since I've been here, I have seen us go through COVID and how we support our members. Um, and so while a lot of people were shutting down and trying to figure out how they keep people uplifted, we just shifted. We just said, okay, we do these networking events every month. We get film screenings. We see our members all the time. Now we want to see them. Unfortunately, in these little Brady bunch boxes, right? We shifted to virtual, which was not a hard thing for us. We just said, okay, we're going to use the Zoom platform. How are we going to do it? I think for getting our members through COVID was hard
Mhm.
because work stopped, right? And so how do you keep your members engaged and know that we can be a resource and help them? So we partnered with New York Women in Film and Television and with LA, and they created this Hire Her Back campaign, which was, huge amount of money. People volunteered to put money into a fund, and that we were part of the chapter that gave money back to our members. So if you filled out a form, if you needed money to get through COVID, to
Mhm.
finish a project or to get started on a project knowing COVID was gonna, eventually end, or just to kind of live through COVID, the Hire Her Back project was there. So we were part of that. That was huge for us because we did keep our members engaged. Our membership numbers never dipped, right? We still had virtual events. We had our first gala, virtual gala. So it was like virtual, but then some in person. So we got through COVID. Hopefully, our women felt like we supported them through it. But
Yes.
that was huge for us because while everything else was kind of shutting down, we were amping up and trying to figure out how to stay connected with our members.
Which is one of the main reasons why out there to our listening audience, listen, ladies, if you are looking for um, a group of professional women who support your craft,
Mhm.
join WIFTA because we
Absolutely.
support in so many different levels. Like you said, helping to get through COVID.
Yeah.
I imagine that was pretty challenging for you because you were the president. How long had you been sitting in that seat when COVID occurred?
I had just became the president. It was
Yes.
like, oh, great. Like WIFT has been tried and true. There are things that it's kind of like, you just do. And then all of a sudden the world says, oh, no, but you're not going to do that. So how do we just pivot into
Mhm.
that? So I kind of used all my like crisis communications that I knew from my corporate world. Like, okay, so how do you pivot? You kind of look at what do they need? I always looked at the health, wealth, and the wellness of
Mhm.
our members, right? Those are the three pillars that I looked at. I was like, so what do they need physically that I can't physically give to them during
Mhm.
this time? So it was making sure that they had the right resources, that there was some money for them to kind of use through COVID.
Mhm.
And then also for them to know that you have a whole network of, over 600 women who are here to support you during this time. You're not alone. So it was just constant communication, constant like virtual events,
Yes.
and just making sure everybody knew and understood that we were here. we didn't shut down, that we were here as an organization.
Yes. Speaking of events,
Mhm.
WIFTA hosts the gala every year. That is the hottest ticket in the city of Atlanta.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to be a part of it. Tell me, why do you feel it's so important that the gala is hosted annually and that we recognize the women in film and TV on a very high platform, I should say?
Yeah, so I think it's important because everybody wants to see who's winning, right? I
Yes.
mean, whether you're hating or not, you want to see who's winning, right? And so that's important. But also, it's one of our biggest fundraisers for the
Mhm.
year for us. It's at the end of the year, but it kicks off our following year. And then also, we give out scholarships. Like, we want people to know that while we're highlighting all these women who are doing great things, we're looking at the women who are up and coming. And so we give out scholarships to the students who are in the film, television, entertainment space in the schools in Georgia. And we give out those scholarships, and we really want to show them, like, hey, you're just starting your career, but look at all these wonderful women who are here to support you, and look at all these great women who have done these wonderful things. So it's important for us to kind of end the year on a highlight, so we can kick off next year, the following year, with what's great.
Yeah, absolutely. Because the gala will be coming up December
Yeah.
this year, right?
It's second Saturday, December. I don't think we have it confirmed yet, but it's coming. Look for it. We're going to start talking about it. But there are other WIFTA things that we do. We do networking and education throughout the year,
Mhm.
but we do have signature programs, like I said, like our short film showcase. This year, WIFTA took over the Women in Production Summit, which is a conglomerate with us and other women organizations in the entertainment field here in Georgia. So WIFTA is now kind of hosting it after it was hosted for years by Susan Satterfield.
This is exciting.
Yes, so we're looking forward to it. And so we're combining it with our other signature programs. And it's going to be a great 2.5 day. We're talking about women in entertainment, whether it's, film, television, emerging technology. You want to do some stuff with, women in music. There's lots of women in the entertainment space here in Georgia. We want to highlight them all.
Yeah, that sounds good. That sounds good. Now let's pivot a little bit, because on my this and that, I said president or executive producer. You did say president. However, you are executive producer for a few projects. You want to talk a little bit about that?
So I mainly want to talk about a project called Trafficked,
Yes.
which is about human trafficking and really seeing the stories of 3 survivors. What's interesting is that it is a project that when people see it, it's more like an educational for them.
It is.
They don't understand what trafficking is, and hearing the stories, you would think that that's not human trafficking, but it is. But what it also is, it's a tough subject, right? That a lot of people don't necessarily want to see a film about, but it's a necessary thing for me personally to kind of promote. And we had an event this past weekend, for the Culture Festival that WIFTA sponsored a screening of Trafficked, and it was interesting to meet another survivor that wants to tell her story. These stories just need to be told. And I think as a women's organization in this industry, we need to highlight all of these stories that kind of talk about the things that we go to that still make us great, right? Like
Yes.
we survive through these things and we're still great. And so, Trafficked, it's an interesting story. It was directed, co-executive produced with director Michael Boogie Pinkney out of Brooklyn. Go Brooklyn. And it's just an interesting story. And I have some other projects coming out that you'll hear about.
Okay, we got to keep them under the bag right now.
Right now, they're out there, but I'm not going to talk about each one of them yet. But
Okay.
there's a few things that also by Michael Pinkney that I'm excited that we can support it. He's a big supporter of WIFTA and also NIWIP. He's a supporter of women in film. He's done a lot to kind of support us in the industry. So I'm looking forward to doing some things.
Yeah, great. So, executive producer, president, like, what's next for you?
So, look, I keep my corporate job because it kind of got me into my passion piece, right? I work for Gannett. I'm vice president of corporate communications for the digital marketing solutions business and the events business. And, I love doing that. I love my corporate job. There's a passion behind my corporate communications work. But, I think volunteering is equally as important.
Very important.
I am all about supporting women, right? Like, I think we all kind of need like great mentors, great networking, great opportunities for us to highlight our best selves. And, I think it's important for me to kind of continue that work. So I'm going to keep doing what I do,
Absolutely.
And yeah.
One thing I like about WIFTA, yes, ladies come out and join and, take advantage of all the different workshops, some amazing workshops. A lot of the workshops are put on by WIFTA members, but also to volunteer. Don't just sit back. That's part of that networking. Join, but then volunteer so that you can meet other people, and you will be surprised the synergy that comes out, or who you might meet to even help complete your project, or help you get some ideas done or something. So I'm very proud of the work you have done with WIFTA, and looking forward to many more years. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Don't give up. We need you.
And I love doing it. I can honestly say I love doing it. And again, I think it's important that if you have time to kind of give back to something that you love and you're passionate about, that you should do it.
And then, like you said, if you have time, but I feel like if this is your work, you only get out what you put in.
Absolutely.
So don't be behind the scenes. Get in front, help out, meet some new people, tell somebody to tell somebody about this great organization.
Right.
But this was great.
Thank you. I you know me, I could talk all about women in film, volunteering, being a creative, and how I'm still learning. Like, I've been doing the women in film work since 2009, sorry. But I learn every day. And, it's great for me to know people like you, because I'm learning from you in this podcast and meeting great people. So I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah. Well, tell my listening audience out there how they can, get in contact with you or stay in contact with you, as well as WIFTA.
So you can reach me at president@wifta.org, or go to wifta.org. That's our website. And, check out what we're doing. If you see that there are some things out there that, it's like, you don't think you can come because you're a member, come to some of our events. Start, join us. Tell us you want to be a volunteer. We're always looking for women who are interested in spending time to get to know the organization, to learn from us, or to teach us a few things and connect us as well, because that's the way this is going to work best, is if we're all kind of in it and have the same passion for this.
Yeah. Audience, you heard her. You can learn more about WIFTA at wifta.org, or you can email her at president@wifta.org. I'm so glad that you came out today.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
This was great. This was good. This was really good. Some really good gems was, released today into the universe. And so I'm glad that, WIFTA is standing tall, and that it is an organization, for all women and guys too, like you said. But thanks so much for coming out. I really appreciate you today.
Thank you for having me.
Yes.
Well, that's a wrap for us today. But make sure you tune in every Tuesday to catch more jewels of I Do Film. Follow us on all social media platforms at I Do Film Atlanta. And don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to the podcast. I'm your host, Cardelia Hunter. Thank you for joining. I'll see you next time.